The i5 12600 KF. That's what I have in my system right now. And coming from an i7 8700, it is a massive upgrade. Now I say, you know, you could go AMD, but I was doing some research. Like I was gonna do a Ryzen 5 5600, but you're gonna save like $10, and I feel like Intel and NVIDIA parts are normally a little more pricier, but have better longevity, better support. That's just my opinion. And those are also what I grew up on. I know times have changed, but still. So you're looking at 115 bucks, and you're getting 6 cores, 12 threads, technically 10 cores if you want to count the E cores, and they do help. The KF model is overclockable, but I haven't overclocked. I don't see much of a point in overclocking. You're basically just reducing the lifespan of your parts for hardly any more performance. And the KF model is cheaper. The F just means that it doesn't have integrated graphics, which is fine, perfect for the budget. So I would recommend this CPU. You know, you could go with something like an i7 9700K or something along those lines, but I just don't think it'd be worth it over this unless you find a really good deal on it. Now for the motherboard, this was just the first one that I found. You know, ASRock, Gigabyte, MSI, any of them really. I think, especially if you're not going to be overclocking, you know, having a super high-end motherboard, it's just not worth it. And I also, you know, don't recommend overclocking. But 65 bucks, and we're gonna get, I believe, 2 RAM slots, and 2 RAM slots. We should have an NVMe, and PCIe, everything that we need for 65 bucks. You always want to make sure, though, whenever you're on here, that you go and make sure that, you know, they work, because sometimes they will get you. And another thing is with LGA 1700, so Intel 12th generation and up, you also, especially like for the budget build, you want to make sure it's DDR4, because they do support DDR5, but it's just, it's yet again, I personally don't feel that it's worth it. The form factor, honestly, a lot of people hate for having a micro ATX motherboard in a large case. I don't care, you know, it doesn't matter to me. We got 2 options here. You can either look around for some like 2 8 GB sticks, and RAM is starting to go back down a lot on the pricing. If you're really trying to pinch your pennies here, you could go with 16 gigs, but just make sure it's 3200 megahertz, because it doesn't make a huge difference, but we need to maximize our performance, and you would just be losing performance if you had slower RAM. So just make sure it's 3200 megahertz, DDR4, and we only have 2 RAM slots. So with that being said too, I would recommend this. If you can find a good deal on 2 16 gig sticks, this right here, I've used this RAM before. It's good RAM. Of course, you can't really review RAM, but yeah, 32 gigs, just to go ahead and kind of future-proof the build. You're going to be spending what? Yes, like $6 more. That's definitely worth it. Are you really going to be utilizing any more than about 16 to 20 gigs? Probably not, but it's just nice to have. So now, a M.2. Highly recommend an M.2. You know, if you're coming from a hard drive and you're going to use an M.2, you're going to be blown away by how quick it is. A regular SSD is fine, but I still, just for the price, you know, I think you end up paying about the same for an M.2 as you do a regular SSD. So this is working 500 gig M.2, more than enough. 30 bucks. So another thing, we're really kind of pinching pennies. So we're gonna go with a terabyte, 7200 RPM. Just any brand, doesn't matter. Terabyte, HDDs. Yeah, they're not very fast, but if you have Windows and all of your important games downloaded on your SSD, it'll still dramatically make a difference. Like even if your games are on your hard drive, still since Windows is downloaded on your SSD, it's going to be much quicker. Um, I can say this from experience. My PC boots up Warzone. Warzone is on one of my hard drives, and it still loads really quick. If you told me it was an SSD, I'd believe you. 14 bucks, can't really go wrong with it. Now this is up to you guys on what you want to do. Me personally, and like yeah, this isn't the prettiest, but you know, a little bit of alcohol, rag, that'll get all that off. You can either go with a AMD card. There's some of the new Intel Arc cards, but I don't know much about them. I know they're really good price performance, but I would either go with like the RX 6600, preferably the XT, but this one will work too. This is going to be about on par with like a RTX 2060 Super, maybe a 2070. 170 bucks, not bad. This is really what I'd recommend. I can't recommend the GTX 1080 or the 1080 Ti. The 1080 Ti, even in 2025, is still it's still just an absolute freaking diamond. Like, sure, GDDR5, yeah, whatever. This thing performs. The 1080 Ti outperforms RTX 3060. The 1080 Ti is on par with a RTX 2080. That's what I have in my system right now, and good lord, it performs amazing. I actually wish I had a 1080 Ti instead of my 2080. You know, or you could go with a regular GTX 1080, and you're going to be looking more at about 100 bucks. And honestly, for budgets, that would be better, but still, this is an amazing card for the price to performance. Bucks, not bad. This isn't a new instead of used, or yeah, here we go. This is even cheaper because it's, well, okay, perfect. Don't know if it comes with the support brackets. Yeah, just with your CPU cooler, just make sure you get one that comes with the support brackets. If it's like this, good thing about these kinds of CPU coolers is in the future, if you wanted RGB, you could always take the fans off and throw RGB fans on. You know, you can get some cheap RGB fans and you'll be good to go. So you can either choose one like this or this. I've used this CPU cooler in so many of my builds for people I built gaming rigs for. This is a good cooler. It is really quiet. These lights they're bright and they look good. I mean, even on some ugly ass motherboards, this thing will really bring it to life. And for the price, I don't think you can beat this cooler. I know I've seen some TikToks where this cooler is getting hate because of how common it is, but it's common because it's a good cooler. Now, for your PSU, I know going used on a power supply is scary. I have bought multiple on Facebook Marketplace, and they did not work or had issues. I had one that fried SSDs, but worked fine. Now this one says brand new but factory sealed. $40 for a 600 watt PSU. That's fine. 80 plus. Really don't know what that means, but yeah. I'm still trying to understand what the gold, silver, bronze, what all that crap means. But yeah, you can't go wrong. 40 bucks. If you could do like a 550 watt, 500 watt, and depending on the GPU, you could even do like a 450 watt. But I think with a 1080 or a 1080 Ti, you really want to try to go for about a 500 to 550. If you get a 600, you'll be a little bit future-proofed. So if you wanted to upgrade parts, you'd be fine. Last, but most certainly not least, this case. I ordered this case for my buddy Will, and this case is fucking gorgeous. Like, these pictures do not do this case any justice whatsoever. I know 66 bucks is kind of on the higher end, but cases aren't cheap. And there's a couple really good features about this case. So for one, the power supply caddy or cover, whatever you want to call that, this is great. This does a really good job of hiding extra cables. It comes with a lot of features. Your SSD mounts, top 2 fans. It's got a RGB controller on it. Your USBs. And two of the biggest highlights I have for this case is one, the shape in person. It's more of a taller case. I know it's an ATX mid tower, but it's not very short, fat, wide. It's kind of tall and slender. It looks great though. This side panel is actually really nice. Very simple design, easy to open and close. If you need to clean it, super easy. You don't have to undo any screws. All you do is open and you lift up out of these hinges, and that's it. It is so simple and easy. These pre-installed fans is one of the other major features. They are gorgeous fans. They are very quiet, and the RGB on them looks great. It was very simple to install. I think Montech, I've heard of them, and I think they're starting to come up kind of as a new brand. It's plenty. Well, I say that. The cable management room was kind of underwhelming, but with that hard drive caddy or power supply caddy, you can shove a lot of your extra cables up under there. And the last thing is this front panel. It's got kind of I guess you would say a diamondish pattern. It is a very aesthetically pleasing case in person. So I will return with the totals and here is the totals. Now this is going to vary depending on what parts you use, but I think $550 for your own build to have what this will have in it is going to be amazing. $550 for practically RTX 3060 performance, 10 core CPU, 32 gigs, DDR4, a sweet case, and a lot of future-proof parts. I don't think you can go wrong with this. Now, since this is going to be quite similar to my current PC, I've upgraded since the last video, I can tell you right now, this thing is a monster. Any VR titles, check. Fortnite, 240 FPS. Hell, I had it on 360 FPS locked, and it would dip every now and then, but it actually stayed at 360 most of the time. Warzone, easy. Any game, it's going to run it. But yeah, basically, I couldn't recommend this PC anymore, this kind of build. And I'm going to kind of wrap the video up here because I've been doing a lot of yapping. But if you guys would like to see a video on me building a PC, or, I have a lot of budget parts lying around. When I say budget, I mean like very budget, like DDR3, older CPUs, motherboards, older GPUs. If you guys would like to see some benchmarks, some building videos and whatnot, let me know. I've really been wanting to make some videos along those lines, but haven't really just had the motivation to do it because I feel like no one would be super interested in it, not to mention YouTube's algorithms. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up the video here, get to editing, and if you guys have any questions, any recommendations, let me know down below. And if you like the video, like it, subscribe, what the hell ever. I'll catch you guys later.